Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever. I'm Larry Mike Garmon, young adult author, and I'm here to talk to you today about a book that I'm really excited about, Wintergirls, which is why I'm dressed like it's winter, right? Yeah, bad joke, I know. Let me get this stuff off because actually here in Altus, Oklahoma, it's like 105 degrees right now, and this ain't too cool. No pun intended, because I need to get to the review, because that's why you're here, right? I mean, who wants to listen to me and my bad jokes? You know, there's 50,000 comedians in the world, and what am I doing? Well, I'm here to tell you about a book I'm very excited about, Laurie Halse Anderson's Wintergirls. At first, I wasn't going to read this book. Why? Because it has that label chick lit on it. That there's a killer for anybody with an XY chromosome base, especially between the ages of 13 and 25. Well, I'm 26 plus some more, and actually I've read a lot about Laurie Halse Anderson's writing and her awards and accolades. I haven't read her first book, Speak, which is really great from what I've read. Everybody that has told me about it says it is a must-read. It's on our library shelf at school, and but it's always it's not. It's always checked out, and I guess I'm going to have to buy it. So, and I will, just like I bought Wintergirls. Like I said, at first I wasn't going to read this book because it's considered chick lit, and just a side point here. Let's get rid of these labels because it's just, I almost didn't want to read it because of that. But knowing Laurie's reputation, reading her blog, and checking her out through other resources, I thought, this is somebody, not only do I want to read, but as a writer, I need to read. I not only read for entertainment, not only read because I enjoy reading, I read because this is my classroom. This is where I learn the most on how to become a good quality writer. And Laurie Halse Anderson is an excellent teacher. Basically, the story is about Laya, young woman who is suffering from anorexia nervosa, and her best friend is dead, and she meets a mysterious man who also had a run-in with her best friend at the motel where she was found, and then the story goes from there. I really don't understand anorexic dispositions, but I really got into the story because of the way Laurie put it together. Laurie does some things on the page that are, you might call experimental. And she even has a little apology to her editor at the back of the book for the way she did put it together, because it drove the editor crazy trying to figure out how this book is to be put together. One thing I like about it is, visually, it causes me as a reader to think about what I'm reading. I'm just not scanning a page. I'm actually absorbing the words. One thing she does is she has these little asides, kind of like a little Shakespearean aside, where she will have a bit of a conversation, dialogue, description, exposition, and then an aside. For example, waves of physics particles stream through the room. I'm on page 18. She called me 33 times. I mean, this jolts us out of the reality that this girl is in school, and she's suddenly reminded that her friend had called her 33 times. Laya never picked up the phone, never talked to her. And the way that this is done visually, instead of, the average writer would have just probably said, the thought jolted through my head that, she had called me 33 times. Instead, what Laurie does is she puts it here, off to the side in little letters, just like thoughts are. These random thoughts that we have daily, she's visualized here. And this helped to jerk me out of Laya's present reality of being in the classroom to the reality that her friend had tried to get a hold of her 33 times. She does this on several pages as well. Page 97. Again, she called 33 times. More aside while she's in the middle of a conversation. And what she also does is kind of unique is we have thoughts that we really don't want other people to know that we're thinking. Now, how do you show this on paper? How do you do this with a character in a story? What I like about Laurie's treatment of this, her technique is, she simply crosses the lines out. Now, at first, this bothered me a little bit, and I almost didn't want to read it because it's crossed out. We're not supposed to read anything that has a line through it. But it's in this book, and it's a part of the story. I have to read it, whether Laia wants me to or not. What I found interesting is that the little line throughs, sometimes on a single word, sometimes on a phrase, a sentence, even a paragraph. This is very symbolic of what Laia is doing with herself and her disease. Laia has a delusion. She thinks she's fat. She's trying to trim the fat. She trims the fat so much that she is getting down to zero. She is a winter girl. The same thing with her thoughts. These thoughts come into her head and she doesn't want them there. She wants to trim them out. So while Laurie, the writer, puts the thoughts down, Laia will cross them out. She doesn't want those thoughts there, just like she doesn't want the imagined fat she sees on her body. I fight a smile and curl my hand around the mug. I'm a healthy teenage girl in a diner, and I can sip a little more hot chocolate, and this feels good, and I don't want to go home, not when I'm starting to warm up. Well, Laia crossed out. I'm a healthy teenage girl in the diner, and I can sip a little more hot chocolate, and this feels good, and she doesn't really want to be in the diner. She doesn't think she is healthy. She doesn't want to sip the chocolate because of the calories and the fat that's going to be added to her. So she crosses it out. She doesn't want to go home, so she leaves that line in there. And she's starting to warm up. You'll have to read the rest of the story to find out why. But this is a very interesting technique that Laurie Halse Anderson uses, and one that I find very interesting. It has actually helped me to understand Laia a lot better and to get in her story, because I just don't read stories about anorexia, and I've actually stopped looking at this as a story about anorexia. It's a story about Laia. It's a story about how she's dealing with her family, dealing with the death of her friend, dealing with her delusion, trying to thaw herself out so she's no longer a winter girl. So that's my take on Laurie Halse Anderson's Wintergirls. I hope you pick it up. It's a great read. It's also, as a writer, I've learned from this. So I want to say, very good, Laurie. Not only is it a good story, but you're a good teacher, and I'm learning. Like I said, novels are my classroom. I read not only for enjoyment, I read to learn to become a better writer. And what better way to improve myself than to read great literature like Wintergirls. So, read well, see you on the bookshelves, and stay warm. Actually, in Oklahoma, stay cool. Cheers. It's tea, by the way, because anybody who knows me knows that I take mine neat, so don't get any thoughts, all right? See you next time. God, that's smooth.